All right, today very cozy, not too many people, but nevertheless we are fortunate to have Bhante Cakkapala to join us for today's morning service. Right. So my name is Rudy. I'll be your service leader for this morning. And as usual, we will start first with the morning chanting, then a short meditation guided by the video recording by Ajahn Brahm. After that, we'll invite Bhante Cakkapala to come to join us in the Dhamma hall, and he'll give the sermon, right? Then there will be a Q&A session, and we will wrap up with the sharing of merits. All right, we will begin with the preliminary homage to the Buddha. Let us pay our homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. We will now begin the offering of the 5 items to express our gratitude to the teachings of the Buddha. Now, brothers and sisters, please join me wholeheartedly to read the verses together as the offering items are presented to the Buddha one by one. Offering of light. Light symbolizes wisdom. May the light of Dhamma dispel the darkness of ignorance. Offering of incense. Incense symbolizes the fragrance of pure moral conduct. This reminds us to cultivate good conduct. Offering of water. Water symbolizes purity, clarity, and calmness. It reminds us to practice the Buddha's teachings to cleanse one's mind, which is full of desires, ill will, and delusion, to attain the state of purity. Offering of fruits. Fruits symbolize the ultimate fruit of enlightenment, which is our goal. They also remind us that all actions will have their effects. Offering of flowers. Flowers symbolize impermanence. The freshness, fragrance, and beauty of flowers are impermanent. This reminds us that we should all live in the present. Remembering thus, we should reduce our craving and attachment. Let us now pay the respects to the Triple Gem by chanting the salutation to the Triple Gem. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang namami. Let us now chant the verses for taking the 3 refuges. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyang pi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyang pi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyang pi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyang pi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyang pi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyang pi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Let us now remind ourselves to the observance of the 5 precepts by chanting the verses together. Panatipata Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Adinadana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Kamesu Micacara Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Musawada Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami, Surameraya Majapamadatana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami. We will now recollect the sublime qualities of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagava arahang sama sambuddho Vijacarana sampano sugato lokavidu Anuttaro purisa dhammasarati Satta dewa manusanang buddho bhagavati. Let us now recollect the sublime qualities of Dhamma. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanaiko pacatang veditabo vinyuhiti. Let us now recollect the sublime qualities of the Sangha. Supatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Ujupatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Nyaya patipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Samici patipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Yadidang cattari purisayugani atta purisa pugala esa bhagavato sawaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo anuttarang punyaketang lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so welcome once again, brothers and sisters, to BF for this Sunday service. Before we start with the meditation, I will do some announcement first. So the first one is next week. This talk will not be available online, and it will not be recorded as well. So private and confidential. So if you want to see, if you want to join, come to BF next week with Dr. Peter Mack. So the topic will be about be still and know. Yeah. All right, and we do have programs every week for this month, but I think I'll just announce for Dr. Peter Mack first. For the rest, you can see the announcement online. So there are 3 more talks for this month. Yeah, on the 24th, it will be freeing ourselves from suffering, and this is by Venerable Chan Chai. And then after that, the last day of this month, 31st, it will be Buddhist art in the Southeast Asia. So that probably will be quite fascinating to learn about the cultures of Buddhism. All right. And then on Saturday, we also have the BF Youth. That means next week, it will be by Sister Hui Kim. For those of you who have friends at the youth age, I mean, probably around JC time, high school time, or the uni time, yeah? And then the topic will be on the impact of giving, but the talk is welcome for everybody. So if you are keen, just come to BF to join the talk on Saturday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the next Saturday. For the Indonesian service, the Indonesian service for this month will be on next Sunday, 17th of January. The talk will be by Romo Dhammanadi Chandra. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, and the topic is by dukkha, hello sukha. Yeah, so by suffering comes happiness. All right, and the talk will be conducted in Indonesian language. All right, next one is the Rahula Connects, so a new initiative, I think, that comes for the online meeting for our junior youth from the age of 4 to 12 years old. So it's gonna start next Sunday for the lower primary level from 10:30 a.m. Yeah, so all the sessions will be done via Zoom. All right, and then the lower primary, we are targeting about the age of 7 to 9 years old, whereas for the upper primary, it's for 10 to 12 years old. So if you have any niece, nephew, cousins, for example, you can introduce this to them and then have fun to connect with fellow practitioners of BF Junior. Yeah, the teachers, I think, should be fun too. Okay. Sorry? Yeah. So, but don't worry, if you do not belong to this age group, for those of you who are sitting in this Dhamma hall, you can still volunteer. We still need more volunteers to help in these facilitations of this session. Yeah. All right. Now, that was for the primary kids. Now, for teenagers, we have BF Junior Youth from the age of 13 to 16. Right? And the program will also be on every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Yeah. Okay. So BF also collaborated with Sister, what's her name? Deepa, sorry, Sister Deepa, to organize this Yin Yoga. And this Yin Yoga previously was organized here at the BF facility in the West Centre, but because of COVID, right? So we also stream it online via Zoom, right? In order to join the Yin Yoga, registration is required, right? So it is still open. You can come to look for our office staffs. Jenny is here, right? So you can just register. Register directly, is it? Sorry. Register directly. The phone number is here in the poster. So you can find it in our BF website also. Yeah, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our office as well. Okay. Now, happy workout. This one is quite challenging for those of you who want to get preventive, I wouldn't say treatment, but it's just to help you, in your body movement as well as having fun. Yeah, so it can hopefully can prevent you for any early dementia symptoms. Right. So it happens on every Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Yeah, it has already started, but registration is still open. Yeah, so we need you to register online because this will also be available via Zoom live. Yeah, yeah, as well as here in the BF West Centre. So once you register, then we'll give you the details, including the link to the Zoom. Okay, so now it's the time to meditate quietly.
With your eyes closed, bring your attention first of all to your body sitting here. And please relax your body. How do you relax your body? By being mindful of your body and being kind to it. What do I mean? We can start with your legs. Ask your legs. Legs, how do you feel right now? And keep asking that question until you get an answer. Just imagining your legs to be like separate living beings. When you ask a question of your legs with respect, sometimes my legs tell me that they need to be adjusted, moved. I listen, which means the mindfulness is starting to work. It's not just being aware, it's getting to know. And the kindness means that I change my posture slightly. I often spend a long time with my body when I'm meditating, at the very beginning, to make sure it's all fine. But we've only got a few minutes, so. Then go to your bottom, your buttocks. I say that because sometimes people's buttocks get sore sitting on a cushion or on a chair. So we want to relax to the max, so we're comfortable. It's not just indulgence. This is simple kindness to your own body. And then move up to your back. Just imagining your back to need a big stretch. The reason I do that, I've just been living in forests all my life, and even in Australia, you see even kangaroos do stretching exercises. These are native wild kangaroos. So I do a big stretch of my body at the beginning and just feeling all these chemicals going into my body, just painkillers, immune enhancers, until my back, it feels really great. And then I relax the muscles of my shoulders. Spend some time on my shoulders because they often have a lot of aches on them. I imagine those muscles being pulled apart by two invisible demons, actually four, two on each side. And I let go. Let go of stretching. Let go of stress. By allowing those muscles just to be. And they respond. My awareness of those muscles, you can relax them almost at any time. Oh, that's great. And then I look at my hands. Where are the hands supposed to be? It doesn't really matter. You put your hands in a place which you feel to be comfortable. And ask your hands, like your hands were separate entities from you. Hands, how do you feel? Do you need to be moved? And then you can move back up to your shoulders and neck to make sure that the head is well balanced on top of the neck. Not too far to the left, not too far to the right, not too far forward or too far back. Nicely balanced. And even in your throat, if you have any tickly sensation like I have now, I do have allergies. It's part of what I inherited from my father who had asthma. Just be kind to your throat. Find ways of relaxing it. And then move up to your face. In your face there's many muscles which stretch, scrunch up because of your emotions. And by relaxing the muscles on your face, you can also relax some of the emotions. So I feel the muscles around my eyes. And I loosen them all. And around my mouth too. And once I've just done a quick scan of my body, I next become aware of my body just as one unit, just one whole. The whole purpose is to be aware and kind enough to relax everything. Because I've been doing this for years, I notice that when I deliberately relax my body with mindfulness and kindness, I get this delightful feeling. The delight of having a body which is much more at peace than usual. It's the same delight which people pay a lot of money for, to go to some beach in Bali on a recliner, or to have a body massage, or to go in a hot tub. I do that just automatically, mindful and kind. And I enjoy that delightful feeling. Delight is part of meditation. I'll just stay there for a few seconds. And then we go deeper inside to our mind. How peaceful are you, or how agitated are you? There's something which I hope you've heard me teach about the peace-ometer, like a thermometer, speedometer. How peaceful are you? Given a number from 1 to 10. 10 is agitated, 1 is very peaceful. What makes that reading go up to more disturbance? What makes that reading go down to more peace? For any one of you who wants to know where this fits in, this is almost third Satipatthana. What causes disturbance to the mind? What stops a disturbance? And you're putting your awareness on peace, peace of mind. You don't think peace, you experience peace. And if those of you who like to watch your breathing, just watch your breath, experiencing it, but don't sacrifice peace. And be kind to this moment, opening the door of your heart to whatever you're experiencing right now. And experiencing it. Don't think about it. Go deeper inside in the thoughts, to the silence which exists in the present moment. Just here, relaxing, making no plans, making no judgments. Grant to yourself these moments of peace. You deserve them. How do you feel now? What's it like in your mind? Your emotional world? How much peace can you feel? And how relaxed is your body? And how joyful does it feel? The time is up now. Instead of ringing the gong, I just ask you to slowly open your eyes. And come out from your meditation. And smile. Yeah. Thank you.
So I hope everyone had a very good sitting for the meditation. Before I request for Brother Vincent to bring Bhante out to join us in the Dhamma hall, I will probably just introduce the biography of Bhante Cakkapala, just a short one. So he was ordained as a monk since the age of 12 and obtained his Dhamma teacher degree when he was at the age of 22. So he graduated with a master degree from the Kelaniya University, I think in Burma, in the year of 2008. And therefore, he was also one of the founding members of the Dhamma School Foundation in Myanmar, one of the largest there in the country. So Bhante has been teaching Buddhism at the various locations in Singapore, various classes. If you know Mangala Vihara, right? So he also teaches there. Yeah, so that was since 2012. Yeah.
Okay, good morning everyone. Yeah. Happy to see many of you. So you came here during COVID-19. Okay. So before we start our Dhamma talk, let's pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. In the Four Noble Truths, second Noble Truth is the original suffering. Dukkha Samudaya, the original suffering. So the first one is suffering. So today my talk will be not the original suffering, the opposite, the original happiness. Actually, my topic name will be similar to the third Noble Truth, cessation of suffering, dukkha nidora. If you don't have suffering, that means happiness. So my topic will be the cessation of suffering. But if I give the name cessation of suffering, it is not so interesting for you, because people like the word happiness, right? So that is even though the Buddha used the word dukkha or suffering, so we have to pay attention to the second word, nidora, cessation or stopping. So that means if you don't have suffering, that means happiness. So we have to take it, cessation of suffering and the original happiness, they will be the same. But of course, in the Noble Eightfold Path, in the Four Noble Truths, so what the Buddha emphasized is to the complete cessation of suffering. So we practice the Noble Eightfold Path to attain complete cessation of suffering. That is Nibbana. But today what I'm talking is not just Nibbana happiness. But here, so I will say that Nibbana is a type of happiness. So today, what I will talking is not just Nibbana happiness. So there are another 2 types of happiness as well. So in the Anguttara Nikaya, we have one sutta called Nibbana Sukha, Nibbana happiness. So in that sutta, so the Buddha talk about 3 types of happiness. So I give the name the original happiness. Actually, when people ask what is the purpose of our life, what is the meaning of our life, so I always answer, so that the purpose and the meaning of our life is happiness. So we are doing everything because we want to be happy. So we go to school, we think that after we complete our education, we'll be happy. Then after that, we try to get a job. So we think that after we got a job, we'll be happy. But not what you think sometimes. Not what you think sometimes. So today I think I will highlight the meaning and purpose of our life. So whatever we do, you came to Buddhist Fellowship because after hearing the Dhamma talk, you think that you'll be happy. But of course, after you listen to the Dhamma talk, if you are happy, that's happiness. The origin will be coming to Buddhist Fellowship, right? So that will be the origin of happiness. Then you go to nightclub, then you sing and you dance, you think that you'll be happy. Of course, you will get happiness. So that will be the origin of happiness. But we have to know the origin of happiness is wholesome, blameless, or flawless. So today my purpose is to talk about different type of happiness so that you recognize so what type of happiness you are doing, you're following, you're pursuing. So we have three types of happiness. The first one is, in Pali, we call it Kama Sukha. Kama Sukha. So in English is sensory happiness. Sensory happiness. So sometimes when we see something or somebody, we are very happy. We're very happy. So that is called sensory happiness. So when we hear something, we are very happy. So sometimes we listen music. Sometimes after listening music, you're very happy. So after you hear what your children are talking, you feel very happy. So that can be called sensory happiness. So sensory happiness can be attained through your nose. Sometimes you get smell. For that reason, we are trying to use perfume. And we try to get a good smell. Even when we are cooking, we add, a very fragrant ingredients so that we get a good smell. And also, so sensory happiness can be attained through eating through your tongue. Most importantly, sensory happiness can be attained with your body. So actually here, so the first type of happiness is sensory happiness. So sensory happiness can be attained through 5 physical doors. By seeing something and somebody, by hearing something, by smelling, by tasting, by touching. So these are called sensory happiness. It's called Kama Sukha. So people think that the Buddha reject Kama Sukha, sensory happiness. No, the Buddha did not reject. Because the Buddha mentioned in Nibbana Sukha Sutta, the Buddha mentioned Kama Sukha first, sensory happiness. So as a human beings, as a devas in the 6 heavenly realms, and we are enjoying sensory happiness. So in our day-to-day life, so when you observe, when you look at your own life, and also when people outside, you will see that everybody is looking after sensory happiness. It is quite natural. But here, sensory happiness can be divided into 2. One is we call it righteous sensory happiness. Another one is unrighteous. So if you get sensory happiness by killing sentient beings, by harming sentient beings, so that is unrighteous sensory happiness. So for that reason, so we Buddhists trying to follow precept. We refrain from killing, harming sentient beings because we don't want unrighteous sensory happiness. So we follow adinadana, taking what is not given. We are not taking what is not given because we don't want unrighteous sensory happiness. Some people may attain sensory happiness by cheating other people, by lying other people. So they do business by cheating, by lying. So these are unrighteous sensory happiness. So as a Buddhist, so we are keeping precept because we know that attaining unrighteous sensory happiness is not good in this life and also the life after. So for that reason, so when we are enjoying sensory happiness, sensory pleasures, so we have to make sure that our happiness should be in righteous way. So by observing precept and by sharing what we have, generosity, and by following a pure mind. So we are making sure that our sensory happiness is in righteous way. So for that reason, we are doing dana and observing sila and taking meditation. Because when we are enjoying sensual pleasures, it should be in a righteous way. So here, so we have two types of sensory happiness: unrighteous sensory happiness and righteous sensory happiness. So the reason why we are observing moral conduct or sila is to control our sensory happiness, right? So as a Buddhist, it is all right to enjoy sensual pleasures in a righteous way. That's very important. So this is also one of the important purpose of our activities. You get a job. You got salary from your job. Then because you want to get all these sensory happiness. That is the purpose of walking. So whatever you do, so to trying to get sensory happiness. Okay, so this is the first one. Second one is we can call it jhana sukha. Jhana, meditation. We can simply call it serenity meditation or samatha meditation. So we are meditating as a Buddhist. We are meditating because we want to get a peace of mind. As you all know that we have two types of meditation: samatha, serenity meditation, and vipassana, insight meditation. But here, jhana sukha is samatha meditation. So now you are listening to the Dhamma talk. Listening to the Dhamma talk is not like enjoying sensual pleasures. So you have to sit down quietly. You have to pay attention to what I'm talking. And you try to understand it. We can call it that is a type of meditation. We call it listening to the Dhamma talk is included in the meditation, samatha meditation, samatha meditation. So by listening to the Dhamma talk, you get a peace of mind. At this moment, you don't have sensual desire, and you don't have ill or anger in your mind, and you don't have sloth and torpor, and you don't have restlessness, you don't have worry in your mind, you don't have a doubt. So that is called jhana sukha, or we call it jhana sukha. I think everybody know it, jhana, right? Jhana can be translated as a stillness or tranquility. So by listening to the Dhamma talk, you get a peace of mind. That is the second type of jhana, second type of happiness. And of course, most importantly, when you are meditating, using one meditation object, even before my Dhamma talk, you meditate, right? You meditate for 10 minutes or 50 minutes? 10 minutes, right? So within 10 minutes, if you can control, if you can pay attention to the meditation object, maybe about 5 minutes, your mind is calm and tranquil within 5 or 10 minutes. So that is happiness. So this is what we can call it jhana happiness, jhana sukha. So by practicing samatha meditation, samatha here means you focus one meditation object. So if you can stay with that meditation object for 10 minutes, so you will have 10 minutes happiness. So it is totally different from sensory happiness. So your mind is actually here, happiness of the mind, I will say that, happiness of the mind. So most of the time, our mind is restless, taking a lot of object, thinking a lot of things. So when we are meditating, when you can control your mind and the meditation object, so your mind is not going anywhere, just focus on one thing. Then if you can focus on one thing, your mind became restless, your mind became tranquil and peaceful. For that reason, those who have a deeper concentration, so they want to meditate more and more. But before you reach that level, you need to make a lot of effort. Before you reach that level, it will be tiring sometimes. It can be boring sometimes. It is just like taking physical exercise. So before you have the body energy, you need to make a lot of effort. But when you have it, then you will have a peace of mind. Then your body became very light, not like it before. So just like that, so second type of happiness is jhana happiness. So when you can concentrate your mind on the meditation object, your mind became tranquil. Even now, listening to the Dhamma talk is considered as a jhana sukha. We can call it jhana sukha. Of course, not a real jhana sukha. Similar one. So the opposite of jhana is, we call it 5 hindrances. 5 hindrances. You don't have in your mind, the moment you focus on your meditation object, you don't have sensory desire. You don't have ill will, you don't have sloth and torpor, you don't have restlessness and worry, you don't have a doubt. So your mind is just focused on meditation object. So at that moment, you will have a peace of mind. So when you have develop concentration, mindfulness, you can stay 1 hour, 2 hours, the whole day, without the help of anything. So the food will not be important for you, the people not important for you. You can be happy. Just pay attention to the meditation object. So the Buddha said that when somebody attains jhana happiness, so they are very worried, they have a fear of losing that. So if you cannot continue to attain jhana sukha, then your mind may go back to kama sukha, sensory happiness. As you all know that to get sensory happiness, we need to do a lot. Just like eating a good food, you need to prepare for 1 hour, 2 hours. You have to go to market, prepare for cooking, and put in the table, then you sit down. Of course, you're very happy to eat, but for that, you need a lot of effort, a lot of time. Then, sometimes you want to see lovely people, and you want to see your friends. So, if they are behaving the way you like, you'll be happy. That's sensory happiness. But they will not be behaving the way you like all the time. Sometimes they will make you irritate. And sometimes they will make you angry. So by that time, no more happiness. So of course, as a human being, so attaining sensory happiness is unavoidable. It is nothing wrong to enjoy sensual pleasures. But the thing is, you have to be very careful to have a righteous sensory happiness. So for that reason, we do dharana, and we observe precept, especially these two. So then only our sensory happiness will be in a righteous way. But in the second type of happiness, jhana sukha is tranquil happiness or stillness happiness, still happiness. So you don't need so many things, but if you can pay attention to one meditation object, then you will get it. You will get it. When I was young, I used to listen to the Dhamma talk, and normally Dhamma talk will be 1.5 hours. Then I usually go to the places where Dhamma talk was taking place. Then while I'm listening to the Dhamma talk, very happy me, my mind is tranquil, then I will have faith in the triple gem, like that. When I was about 70 years old, one of my senior monks told me that if I were you, I will not listen to the Dhamma talk. Because if I listen to the Dhamma talk, I have to take a lot of time, at least 2 hours. What the Dhamma speakers are talking is just a little bit, within 1.5 hours. Then if I were you, I will read the book. By reading the book, if I read 2 hours, I will get a lot. I will know a lot of things. Then, actually he is my senior, monk. For that reason, so his idea came into my mind. From that time onward, instead of listening to the Dhamma talk, I pay attention to the reading. So in later part, maybe when I became 25, 26, I realized that listening Dhamma talk is not just acquiring knowledge, not just to know something. It is a type of meditation. Now, everybody is sitting quietly and paying attention to the Dhamma talk. So you are developing mindfulness as well as concentration. So to get concentration, mindfulness, you need to make a lot of effort. So that is, meditation is, in Pali is bhavana. In Pali, bhavana. Bhavana means to develop or to cultivate mindfulness and concentration. So here, what I want to point out is, when I was young, I was brainwashed by one of my senior monks. So of course I stay listening to the Dhamma talk, but let's pay attention to the listening, by reading. Of course, reading also considered as a meditation, but not like listening to the Dhamma talk. So, for that reason, in the commentary of Abhidhamma, said that listening to the Dhamma talk is considered added into meditation, because meditation means developing and cultivating mindfulness and concentration. So, of course, when we say jhana sukha, jhana happiness, the real happiness is the moment you attain jhanas, of course. So by that time, your mind is just focused on meditation object. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything, you don't get smell. You just, your mind is just focused on meditation object. But that will be the real jhana sukha. But sometimes, so when we are paying homage to the Buddha, our mind is free from lobha, dosa, moha. So when we are listening to the Dhamma talk, our mind is tranquil, peaceful. And when we are meditating, even we don't get jhanas, real jhanas, our mind is still free from negative mental state, lobha, dosa, moha. So for that reason, our mind is tranquil and peaceful. So that can be called jhana sukha. So jhana sukha, regarding with jhana sukha, you don't need so many things. You don't need people. And you don't need a good food, you don't need a good place. As long as your mind is focused on one meditation object, then you will get a peace of mind. That is second type of jhana. So even second type of jhana sukha need support. Suppose you are sitting here, you are sitting meditation. Your mind is tranquil and peaceful. So by that time, somebody came in, make a lot of big noise. Then your concentration get lost. So that means even second type of jhana sukha need is support and condition. A quiet place and people who concentrate to other people, a good people. So then only you can maintain a peace of mind. So that is the nature of jhana sukha. So here, number one is sensory happiness. This one also need a lot of conditions. We call it sankhata. In Pali, we call it sankhata, with the condition. And second type of jhana, second type of happiness, jhana happiness also need some condition. So when you are meditating, you need a quiet place, you need a good meditation teachers, and you need a good people around you. So then only you'll be able to maintain a peace of mind. Suppose you all are meditating in a meditation center. So by that time, somebody came in and make a lot of problem, make a bit noise. Then your mind is disturbed. You will be angry to that person. So that means even the second type of happiness, jhana sukha, need a lot of some conditions. But of course, compared to sensory happiness, jhana happiness needs less conditions. You don't need to rely on so many things. For that reason, people nowadays, including Singapore, I think, so they all are joining meditation courses. So in our temple, whenever we conduct meditation retreat, many people join. Many people came and meditate. So the reason is they want to get second type of happiness. They know that mostly people who have a problem in their life, even though they have sensual pleasures, their mind is not stay happy. Then they try to find a solution. For that reason, they join meditation retreat. But I don't know whether they got the message or not. So, number one is sensory happiness, need a lot of conditions. We call it sankhata. And also, jhana sukha or tranquility happiness also need some conditions. So, we call it sankhata. But we have another happiness called nibbana happiness. Nibbana is called asankhata. No condition. You don't need any condition. If you are walking, you're walking and you have a lot of job in front of you. Okay, you are happy. Your happiness is not disturbed. You are seeing unpleasant people. You are hearing unpleasant sound. Stay okay. You don't need those conditions. If you attain nibbana happiness, but here, what I want to say is, of course, if you attain real nibbana happiness, the best. But as a Buddha, at a order, we call it order, normal people. So we can try to get temporary nibbana happiness. So in some sutta, the Buddha used the word tathanga nibbudha. So tathanga means momentary or temporary. Nibbana. So when you attain nibbana happiness, you don't need any condition. Wherever condition you are in, so your happiness is not disturbed. So that means you don't have suffering, you don't have a dukkha. So here, when you talk about nibbana sukha, we better use dukkha nidora, cessation of suffering. So if your suffering is cease, if your suffering is stop, then that considered as a happiness. As I earlier said that, you are meditating in this room, your mind is full of mindfulness and concentration. Your mind is tranquil, but somebody came in. So your happiness, your tranquility is disturbed. So that means because of that person, your tranquility, happiness gone. But when you attain Nibbana, at least when you attain momentary Nibbana, even though there are a lot of disturbances, a lot of problems outside, a lot of difficult people outside, but your happiness is not disturbed. Your happiness is not changed. You don't need any conditions to get when you have Nibbana happiness. For that reason, Nibbana is called unconditioned happiness. You don't need any condition. But here, I need to explain what is Nibbana. Many of you know, but to reaffirm, to know clearer. Nibbana is a type of happiness. But the Buddha used the word cessation of suffering. So we have two types of suffering. So the first one is kayika dukkha, physical suffering. So regarding with the physical suffering, even the Buddha have a lot of physical suffering because he has a body. Right? He suffers from diarrhea, he suffers from backache, and he suffers from constipation. So we can find in the Suttas and Vinaya Pitaka. There are many examples. So when the Buddha is talking Dhamma talk, and he feel backache, and he told Venerable Sariputta, I have backache. I want to take a rest. So the audience is stay willing to listen to the Dhamma talk. You continue. Very simple. No? The Buddha have a body, so for that reason he have physical suffering. It is unavoidable. So what we can do is we try to ease our bodily suffering. So we are doing exercise because we want to prevent from illness. So as a lay people, you know better than me how to get physical happiness. So I don't need to focus on that one. So as a Buddhist monk, as a religious leader, so what we have to focus on is mental suffering. So I'm here to talk about how to remove mental suffering. So regarding with the physical suffering, you know better than me. So recently I talked to Chongqing, and he asked me, taking vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, what do you think? Should we take? I told him, no, I don't know much about that. You know better than me. So what I mean is, regarding with physical happiness, you know better than me. But what the Buddha focus on is a mental happiness. Cetasika sukha. So when we look at the third noble truth, dukkha nirodha, cessation of suffering. So we have the body, physical body. For that reason, physical suffering, it is unavoidable. We will grow old, we will die, and we will get illness, sickness. It is unavoidable. So what we can do is to get, not to have, a very difficult physical suffering. So here, when we talk about Nibbana Sukha, Nibbana happiness, the most important thing is mental suffering. Mental suffering. Sometimes we may see unpleasant people. We may hear unpleasant song. Somebody criticize you, somebody say bad things about you. Then, if you can keep your mind properly, then you will not have physical suffering. That is our choice. That's our choice. So for that reason, the Buddha have talking a lot of method not to have physical suffering in our mind. Then, when we get angry, so the Buddha talk about how to remove our anger. And in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said that when we want to overcome mental suffering, just like a worry and irritation, etc. So we need to practice mindfulness meditations. So here, when we talk about Nibbana Sukha, the thing is not to have mental suffering in our mind. So that is understanding the true nature of five aggregate. Our mind and body. Suppose so our body is changing all the time. If you have mindfulness and concentration, then we observe this nature, changing nature of our body. Then if you understand, the body is changing, the body is impermanent, that is wisdom. If you know it, you accept it. Knowing or understanding impermanent nature of the body, that is wisdom. So if you have such understanding, such wisdom, then if you encounter such changes and impermanent nature in your body, then you accept it. You don't have mental suffering in your mind. Physical suffering will be there. Unavoidable. But what we can do is not to have mental suffering. So that it is something to do with wisdom or our understanding. So we are meditating vipassana meditation because we want to avoid, we want to stop our mental suffering. Recently, one of my devotees operated on the cancer. She has positive mind. Of course, getting cancer in the body, physical suffering. But if you cannot train your mind, if you cannot accept cancer happen to you, then you have, why me? Why it happened to me? Then, number one, physical suffering. Secondly, mental suffering. You trying to escape from possible physical suffering, number one. But sometimes we cannot escape. At least we will grow old, we will die. We cannot escape those ones. But when we encounter those physical suffering, we should try not to add another suffering, mental suffering. So for that reason, so we are meditating, we are trying to understand the Dhamma our body is impermanent, subject to change. Our body is subject to sickness. Our body is subject to dying. That is knowledge, wisdom. So if we have such wisdom, so when those physical suffering happen to us, we 100%, even if we cannot accept 100%, but we try to accept it. It is reality. It is reality. So in one of the sutta in Sutta Nikaya, so the Buddha talk about two arrows, simile or two arrows. So we encounter with the physical suffering, that is the first arrow. Everyone will have it, one way or another. But the Buddha said that the noble people, Ariya Pokala, they will have physical arrow, physical suffering, but they don't have second arrow. So the first arrow shoot to your chest. Of course, it is very painful. Physically, it's painful. The Buddha also, so when he suffered from diarrhea, painful. Physically, it's painful. When he suffered from backache, physically painful, unavoidable. But the Buddha said that, so uninstructed, uneducated people, the Buddha used the word asutawa. People who do not have spiritual knowledge. So when they have physical suffering, so they feel irritated, they feel angry, and they lament, and they cry. Then in their mind, second arrow stuck in the chest, in the body. So that means the first arrow, physical suffering, of course, is painful, but attacked by another mental suffering. Second arrow, more painful. But here, when you have a understanding or wisdom, this body is impermanent, changing, subject to grow old, subject to sickness, and subject to death. Then you have such understanding, you accept it when those things happen to you. So when you have acceptance, you don't have second arrow. You don't have a mental suffering. That is Nibbana Sukha. Nibbana Sukha. You don't need any condition. Whatever happened to you, you don't have a mental suffering. That is Nibbana Sukha. So here, I want to explain the definition of Nibbana. Nibbana means extinguishment of fire. Fire is very hot. If those fires are extinguished, you will have peace in your mind. But here, mainly we have three types of fires. Lobha, greed. The more you are greedy, the more your mind became very hot. Secondly, dosa, anger or hatred. The more you are angry, the more your mind is very hot. And third one is moha, delusion. If your mind is deluded, very hot. Somebody taught to you something without any intention. Then if your mind is deluded, then you feel very angry to that person. So delusion is the original lobha dosa. So here, if you have lobha, dosa, moha in your mind, so those are fires in your mind. Because of those fires, your mind is not peace. Your mind is like a boiling pot. So even though so here, if you don't have lobha, dosa, moha for 1 minute, then that is 1 minute nibbana sukha. We call it temporary nibbana. But of course, if you attain 100% nibbana, there's no more fires in your mind. If there's no more fire, wherever occasion, even if you encounter with the death, no more mental suffering at all. But here, as a normal person, so we should try to get temporary nibbana sukha. So temporary nibbana sukha is nothing but the moment your mind is no lobha, no dosa, no moha. So the opposite of lobha is generosity. Your mind is full of generosity to other people. And your mind is not cling to anything. No clinging to anything. That is lobha. You don't have a lobha. The opposite of dosa is loving kindness, compassion, and patience, etc. So if you don't have anger, even slightest irritation in your mind, if you don't have it, that means you have temporary nibbana. Tadinka nibbudha. Nibbudha means peace and tranquil. So nibbana is not somewhere to go. Nibbana can be attained when your mind is free from lobha, dosa, moha. If your mind is free from lobha, dosa, moha for 1 minute nibbana. You don't need any condition. If people are, making a lot of noise, your mind is not disturbed because you have full of understanding, full of metta or patience. So here, for that reason, when we talk about nibbana sukha, nibbana happiness, we better use the word dukkha nidodha, cessation of suffering. So regarding with physical suffering, it is unavoidable. Of course, when you attain 100% nibbana, you will not have physical suffering after you die. But in this life, even the Buddha, even the Arahant, they still have a physical suffering. But what they don't have is mental suffering. Because they don't have lobha, dosa, moha in their mind. For that reason, as a Buddhist, I think I don't need to explain in details regarding with what is lobha, what is dosa, what is moha. I think many of you have learned that. But the thing is, nibbana. Nibbana means extinguishment of all fire. Fire is mainly 3 types of fire. We are suffering because of lobha sometimes. We are suffering because of dosa, sometimes because of moha, sometimes because of threes. So, if you don't have the origin of those suffering, then you will have nibbana sukha. That is what I mean, the original nibbana sukha, the original happiness. So here, I will conclude my talk. Today I talk about 3 types of happiness. So the first one is kama sukha, sensory happiness. So number 1 type of happiness can be obtained by seeing something, by hearing, by smelling, by tasting, by touching. So this Kama Sukha can be divided into two, righteous and unrighteous. So it is nothing wrong to enjoy sensual pleasures, but it should be in righteous way. For that reason, we are observing moral contact. And second one is jhana sukha. Simply we can say that meditation happiness. You are listening to the Dhamma talk, your mind is tranquil and attention to the talk. Then after you listen to the Dhamma talk, so that tranquility and that happiness stay arising in your mind. But most importantly, when you attain jhanas, so what you have to do is just focus on meditation object. Then you will have tranquility, happiness. That is called jhana sukha. So jhana sukha is higher than sensory happiness. So jhana sukha sometimes is called ceto vimoti, liberation of the mind. Your mind is liberated from 5 hindrances. So if you don't have 5 hindrances, you will have a peace of mind. So the last type of happiness is nibbana sukha. Nibbana sukha, another name is called panya vimoti, liberated by wisdom. So if you have a wisdom or understanding, you don't have any suffering, especially mental suffering. You will encounter changes in your body, changes in your environment, changes in your family. If you know that everything is impermanent, suffering, and non-safe, anicca, dukkha, anatta. So if you have such understanding or wisdom, your mind is liberated. In other words, your happiness. So there will be no mental suffering in your mind. So that can be called nibbana sukha. So nibbana sukha, the original nibbana sukha is wisdom or understanding. So that understanding can be attained by reading the book, Dhamma book, by listening to the Dhamma talk. But of course, the actual one is through vipassana meditation. But second one, the origin of jhana sukha is concentration and mindfulness. If your mind is concentrated on the meditation object, then you have a jhana sukha. The origin of sensory happiness is, of course, things that you see, things that you hear, things that you smell, that you eat, that you touch with your body. So, these are the origin of happiness. So, we have 3 types of happiness. Sensory happiness, you need a lot of conditions to get that one. Second type of happiness is a jhana happiness. You still need some conditions, but you don't need to rely on so many things. And the last one, nibbana sukha. You don't need any condition if you have a wisdom. So these are the origin of happiness. So as I earlier said that, so we are doing something because we want to get happiness. So now I think that you know what type of happiness you are following, you are pursuing. You came to Buddhist Fellowship, I hope, second type of happiness. At least you get tranquility of the mind by coming to this Dhamma hall. then you can move to Nibbana, at least temporary Nibbana happiness. Then you don't need any condition. Wherever condition happen in your life, you don't have a mental suffering. At least trying to reduce mental suffering. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhante, for the Dhamma talk. Now we will open for the question and answer session. So if anybody has question to Bhante, please raise up your hand. I'll come to you and also hold the microphone for you. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Bhante, for the talk. When you're talking about the loving kindness, when you are not in the good mood, how to actually achieve that if actually you're surrounding by negative people around you?
Can you remove? It's okay to.
How to achieve loving kindness if you are surrounded by negative people?
She's struggling with loving kindness because people around her and she's not in a good mood. How can she handle it?
Oh, okay. Loving kindness. Loving kindness in Pali is metta. The meaning of metta is having a sincere wish for the welfare and happiness of other people. Of course, if people are not nice to you, it will be difficult to cultivate loving kindness. But if you understand the meaning of metta, you can practice little by little, step by step. So the meaning here, metta or loving kindness, is trying to have a sincere wish, not because you want something. If you want something, that means not sincere. Suppose in your office, some people are not nice to you. All the time, it will be difficult to practice metta or loving kindness. But sometime, maybe step by step, little by little. So when you are talking to them, so trying to sincere wish in your mind to make them happy, to make them to get welfare, to look after welfare of those people. So if you are doing again and again, step by step, then they became very good to you. Of course, it needs a lot of time. It can happen. So when I was young, we have a very bitter enemy because we are competing each other. So, but later, then I'm trying to change my mind. So treating with the bitterness is not good. Then I control the way I talk, the way I respond to my friend. But later, we became very close friend. But of course, it needs a lot of practice. So first of all, we need to know the real meaning of loving kindness. But if you practice real loving kindness, not really easy. But loving kindness here is a sincere wish for the welfare and happiness of those people. So if you are treating them with the pure and sincere loving kindness, you will get a good response. So that will be a good way, I think. Okay.
Okay. Any more questions for Bhante? Okay.
Thank you, Bhante. For Nibbana Sukha, at that time, even for temporary Nibbana happiness, we may not have Lobha Dosa, but sure we will have Moha because we are not enlightened. So how can you get, how can lay people have even a temporary Nibbana Sukha? Thank you, Bhante.
Here, moha, we translate delusion. Sometimes another name for moha is avijja, ignorance. See, the opposite of delusion, opposite of moha is understanding or wisdom. Suppose you're getting older, then you see a lot of changes in your body and in your eye, in your tongue, etc. Then if you understand, and my body is subject to change, it is unavoidable. That is understanding. That is wisdom. So if you have that understanding, delusion is, there's no delusion in your mind. So that means the opposite of delusion is understanding or wisdom. You understand that your body is subject to change. Based on that understanding, even though there are a lot of changes, unpleasant changes in your body, you accept it. No more mental suffering. No mental suffering at all. Because you don't have a delusion in your mind. But some people, when they grow old, they cannot accept it. They cannot eat. They cannot walk. So when they encounter, old age, they do not understand their body is subject to change, impermanent. That is delusion. That's delusion. Because of that delusion, they cannot accept old age. And when they see gray hair in their head, then they feel frustrated. When they cannot walk, just like before, they feel angry. So when they cannot eat, when the food is no more tasty, then they feel angry. So here, the anger, frustration arises because of delusion. Delusion means they do not understand their body is subject to impermanence. So here, even normal people, so if we understand impermanent nature of our body, then that is wisdom. So if you have a wisdom or understanding, delusion cannot come. Then I will give you another example. Suppose somebody died, a loved one, the one you left in your family died. Then normal people, they will cry. They will feel sad. That's normal, quite normal. Because of delusion. If you understand our body is subject to change, subject to old age, subject to sickness, subject to death. If we have such understanding, such wisdom, there's no more mental suffering. We fully accept it. My mother died because she possesses the body. Her body is subject to time, subject to time. So such understanding will make you liberate from crying and also mental suffering, mental suffering. My mother died 2 years ago, but of course, as a normal person, I feel mental suffering arise. Mental suffering arise. So as a Buddhist monk, so we have been teaching body and mind always changing, subject to time. But when we encounter the death of my mother, mental suffering arise. But of course, I have to be very mindful. That is quite normal. So everyone have to die. So when that understanding and mindfulness arises in our mind, less mental suffering. Then of course, the day I hear that my mother died, then the moment I do puja, then I remember my childhood memory. Then the tear, came down, only because I don't have mindfulness at the time. Delusion, because of delusion, crying. Just for a while, because I have to control as a Buddhist monk. Then I go back to my house, and because of mindfulness and understanding, then no more cry, less mental suffering. Then I have a acceptance. I accept it. So everyone have to die. But my sisters, they're crying all the time. One of my sisters even cannot eat. Actually, I'm not blaming my sisters, because it's quite normal. Because they cry because of delusion. They do not have understanding that we must die one day. As for me, I even cannot say crying. I just, the tear just came down, type of crying anyway. But what I want to say is, I don't have much suffering because of mindfulness and understanding. Understanding that everyone have to die. I accept that my mother have to die. That is wisdom. So that understanding is the opposite of delusion, moha. So because of less delusion, then I have less suffering. But my sisters, as a lay person, a lot of delusion in their mind. It's pity as a Buddhist man, I need to train my sisters. Of course, I have to tell them not to have an understanding. So that is to remove our delusion. So you all came into Buddhist centers, listening to the Dhamma talk, to remove your delusion, to have understanding and wisdom. Okay.
All right. So I will probably open to one last chance for question to Bhante. Anyone last? Okay.
Ms. Bhante, thank you for the talk. So, in the case of, let's say, an arrow being shot in my chest, how does not having the greed, hatred, and delusion stop the pain? In other words, you can separate your mental suffering from the physical suffering.
That is easy way is mindfulness. Actually, in Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha gave two words: Sato, Sambhajano. Sato means mindfulness. So when you have physical suffering, trying to cultivate mindfulness. And second one is sampajana. Sampajana in English is a clear comprehension. Clear comprehension. So when physical suffering arises in your body, trying to be mindful, mindfulness. And secondly, you have to know what is happening. What is happening. So when you have physical suffering, just know that there is physical suffering in your body. So when you have these two qualities, number one, mindfulness. Number two, clear comprehension. You clearly know what is happening. So when you have these two qualities, another quality will follow. That is called upekha, equanimity, equanimous mind. So when you have mindfulness and clear comprehension of your physical suffering, then you don't have like or dislike. You don't have dosa. You don't like me, dosa. And you like me, lobha. So when you have mindfulness and clear comprehension, then your mind is equanimous. Your mind is unshakable. Because of your physical suffering, no dosa. Because of physical happiness, physical pleasures, you don't have a lobha. So actually, of course, it will not be easy. If you have a mental suffering, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. It's quite natural. Quite natural. Only the Buddha and Arahant can maintain their mind 100%. Only the Buddha and Arahant. But of course, as a Puthojana or normal person, we have to practice mindfulness. We have to be very mindful. Then we have to try to have a clear comprehension. So if you have these two qualities, positive quality in your mind, negative mental state cannot come in. So that is the best way to remove your mental suffering. Second arrow. Okay.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Shall we say sadhu 3 times, everyone? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. So we have completed our Dhamma talk. Let us share our good deed to all sentient beings. Today we have accumulated a lot of good deed. Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Because of all these good deeds, may I attain the bliss of Nibbana. I share all these good deeds, all sentient beings, far and near. May they attain, share of my good deed. Idame nyatinan hotu sukhita hotu nyatayo. Idame nyatinan hotu sukhita hotu nyatayo. Idame nyatinan hotu sukhita hotu nyatayo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Okay, so we will now do the closing puja before we'll end our morning service. We will now dedicate the merits of today's meritorious actions by listening to the Dhamma talk meditations to all the devas, the nagas, and all beings seen or unseen by chanting the Etavata. Etavata chamhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etavata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya etavata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Next one, I think Bhante has led this together with us. Okay, so let us read together the verses for the service dedication. I dedicate the merits which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the merits to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never part from the Triple Gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment. Let us now pay our salutation to the Triple Gem. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you everyone. We'll see you again next week.